because I took the time to ask AI, is this possible? How does it work? How can I do it? What questions do you need to ask me to figure out what I can do? I was able to work with it to be able to spend a couple of hours doing something that would usually take me 30 minutes, but that I do every week. So over the course of the school year, I'm saving hours of my time by doing this exercise once. Welcome to the Teacher Money Show, the podcast dedicated to helping teachers navigate your unique financial challenges and unlock your financial superpowers. I'm your host, Sean Morgan, a full-time educator and personal financial coach and speaker, and I'm here to help every teacher. Whether you're a seasoned teacher looking for fresh insights or a new educator navigating your first paycheck to have a richer wallet, classroom, and life. I'm excited to have another one-on-one show with you guys today. I want to talk about something that is very important that we don't talk about enough. And that is that money isn't really the end goal. Time is the end goal because money is just a store of time in most instances. And really, when we're being frugal, we are being conservative with our use of our time and how it's being allocated out to other resources. We aren't just spending willy-nilly because that's our time going into those things. So let's take a step away from the money and think about time. Time is our most precious resource. So if we're going to be frugal with our money, we ought to be frugal with our time as well. And I want to share something with you guys that I have been doing that's helped me be more frugal with my time in classroom. And I know this has got all the hype going around it, but I want to talk to you about using AI as a way to be able to reclaim some of your time as a teacher. Now, there's a very simple key that I use when I am doing this. And it's not a new program. It's not the latest and greatest AI. It's not paying for this or that service. None of those types of things are happening here. The only thing that I do to ensure that I am using my time effectively is I ask myself, could there be a way that this could be done faster, more efficiently, or could it be done more efficiently and faster in the future if I set up a system to make it that way? Now, let me explain what that means. Instead of going through some grunt work that I need to get done, because let's be honest, as a teacher, sometimes we have a large amount of just relatively mindless tasks that we need to do to process papers or to process, check-in grades or to process uh, scores into a system. All these things we do on a regular basis that aren't just teaching are things that we could definitely do with the help of AI. So my favorite example, the one that I've done most recently, is I needed to go back and apply a new grading policy that my school implemented into my learning management system. But that was going to mess up the scores that I'd already put into place because we were adjusting the way our late policy worked. Now, the way that I could do that, or I would have done that just a year ago, is I would have gone in and manually adjusted every student's score and changed it so that the late policy wouldn't apply to them retroactively. Instead of doing that manually, like I would have done for years, I said, I wonder if AI could help me do this. So I asked AI, is there a way that I could go into this learning management system and have it go through and adjust these scores for me? And it turns out it was. And about 30 minutes later, I was able to have a working little program that I was able to run through my learning management system, and I didn't have to update those scores manually. Now, you might be like, wait, you wrote a program? Like, I can't do that. There's no way. I know nothing, absolutely nothing about writing programs. Well, I know a little bit now because AI taught me in the past few months. But the only things that I know are how to prompt AI to get me to the place I need to be. I don't know a single coding language. I know none of those types of things. I just ask, what do I need to know? I ask prompts like, this is what I want to accomplish. This is the software and the things I have in place that I can use. What questions do you need to ask me to know what you need to be able to do this task? And then AI prompts me back with things that I need to tell it so that way it can effectively do its job of creating this code base or creating this system that's going to do it for me. So that's one thing that I've done to reclaim my time. I have now created a little code base that I can use any time that I need to be able to update my learning management system fast. Now, am I going to use it again? I don't know. But because I took the time to do that, I didn't have to manually click through all those buttons, which would have taken a couple of hours. It took me about 30, 45 minutes. And after that, it took 2 minutes for the system to update all of the grades that I needed it to update. So it was not only faster to build it, but in the future, if I have to do it again, it'll be faster again and again. Now, sometimes I do this for things that I know I'm going to do again and again. For example, I often have to send mass messages using Canvas, which is our learning management system. And because I have to do that, I wanted to be able to send out mass personalized messages, which Canvas doesn't have that feature. So I took some time to build a little system that allowed me to be able to do that without having to send each message individually, because I knew I do that often. Because I took the time to ask AI, is this possible? How does it work? How can I do it? What questions do you need to ask me to figure out what I can do? I was able to work with it to be able to spend a couple of hours doing something that would usually take me 30 minutes, but that I do every week. So over the course of the school year, I'm saving hours of my time by doing this exercise once. Now, I am an online teacher, so you might be saying, like, I don't use Canvas. I don't think I'm going to need to do this in my grade, management system, and that's totally fine. The point that I'm illustrating here is I'm asking the question every single time, what can I do with AI to speed up my process? This doesn't just have to be with coding or electronic based things. You can ask about resources. If I'm trying to find resources, instead of researching for my own resources for history, for example, I can ask it to find those sources for me. I can tell it these are the types of things I'm looking for. Please find primary sources that are going to meet these criteria. Then once you get those primary sources, you can ask it to create the types of worksheets you want or the types of questions you want to ask about those things, comprehension questions to make sure that they've got it. There are so many things you can do with that in history. In mathematics, I know a teacher who not didn't buy a program. He created a program that would be just prompts you put into an AI system that would then prompt back and forth with the student as they are trying to understand a concept. So that way they are able to practice iteratively without having to buy a fancy new program. They just are going back and forth with the AI that they already had available to them. That is a powerful, powerful tool for it to be able to adjust on the fly and say, oh, this is what you got wrong on that mathematical step. This is the next thing that you need to work on. That prompt was built using AI. He asked AI how he could build a prompt that would allow him to give it to his students to be able to put it into AI to get what he wanted from them. And he was able to adjust it, which is just kind of a fun extra thing, to be very specifically towards our state testing that's going to help them prepare for that specifically. So you're able to get exactly what you want in a fraction of the time if you use AI correctly and you ask it the right questions. You might be asking, how can I use this in science? Have you ever tried to find the perfect data set for what you're trying to do? Now, AI is not really great at data sets yet, but if you can ask it to create a data set, it'll create a beautiful framework with some probably problematic data. But the data actually isn't the problem. The framework is what you're really needing. And you can adjust the data to be accurate because of your expertise in science. This goes on and on. Instead of building your lesson plans from scratch, instead of building your examples from scratch, instead of finding the resources you need from scratch, build them yourself and you'll be able to get them in a fraction of time if you just start asking. Now, you might not be very good at prompting yet. You might not know how to use AI yet, or you might be an expert. You might be way ahead of me. But the point I'm making here is that if you are not using AI to reclaim your time in the classroom, then you are missing one of the biggest opportunities that I've seen in education in a long time. There are so many things that we could try. I would love to try and asking AI and prompting it and teaching it how to read handwriting of one of these students that it just has atrocious handwriting. So that way it can tell me what they are trying to say. Or I want to ask it to build a bot. I'm going to work on this, building a bot that can give real-time feedback on a specific thing I'm working on in writing students. So I can say, we're trying to do context. We're trying to do quotes. We're trying to do transitions. And with that in mind, what feedback would you give this student? And I could even give that box to the students so that way they can type it in and get feedback on what we're trying to work on in real time. There is so much that we can do that can take these massive stacks of essays that we have to grade and reduce the amount of time. We say, this is what I'm looking for. Give me some things that I can point out. Give me some ideas that I can focus on, and then focus on just those main ideas, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give pointed feedback to our students. AI can do those types of things for us instead of having to read every single word and cover that sheet with all this red marker. We can get pointed feedback to these students quickly using AI. I hope that this relatively short beginning, and if you're interested in this kind of episode, I'd love to continue to talk about this, because I think claiming our time is a very valuable resource. So if you're interested and you want more of this, you can reach out at Shaun, SHAUN, at teachermoneyshow.com. Send me an email. I want to help you with what you want to know more about. But the point I'm making here is that our time is so valuable that we need to be taking that back and using the things that are available to us to really have the great experiences in education that we know we can, without being bogged down by things that we just don't want to deal with. I am super excited for the horizon ahead of us as we take back our time and we can focus more of that on to helping students succeed, which is what we really want to do. And as we do that, we're going to be able to have just a more fulfilling life, a more fulfilling career. We'll be able to feel rich. And of course, you'll be able to remember that as a teacher, you are already rich. Your wallet just needs to catch up.
If you would like help on your personal financial situation, go to teachermoneyshow.com/coaching and you'll be able to find different ways that I can help you there. If you would like to participate in spreading this message of financial empowerment to teachers, I would encourage you to talk to your administrator or to your district level about going to SeanKMorgan.com to find more information there. And regardless of which one of those you need, please like and subscribe so that way we can spread the reach of this more. Leave a 5-star rating and review. That's going to help more teachers find this. And then turn around and tell a teacher friend. I really appreciate it.
The contents of this podcast are informational in nature and are not legal or tax advice, and neither I nor my guests are engaged in the provision of legal, tax, or any other advice. You should not act upon this information without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional.